Okay, let's just dive right into this. Think about the one person you talk to more than anyone else in your entire life. It's not your partner, it's not your best friend, and it's actually not your boss. It's yourself. We all have it, right? That quiet internal dialogue just narrating our daily lives? Well, welcome to this explainer. Today we're going to unpack the absolutely fascinating science behind the voice inside your head, and more importantly, how you can actually go about rewiring its script.
Now, let this sink in for a second. If you've been listening to this exact same voice your entire life, who taught it how to speak? It's kind of a profound thought, isn't it? Like, is the voice in your head uniquely yours? Or is it really just a collection of echoes that your brain picked up from somewhere else?
So here is our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. The voice inside your head. 2. Decoding your inner speech. 3. Myths about your brain. 4. Rewiring through neuroplasticity. And finally, 5. Making failure desirable.
Let's get into Section 1, the voice inside your head.
The scientific term for this whole process is inner speech. It is quite literally your brain talking to itself. You use this internal conversation for everything: planning your day, solving complex problems, reflecting on your choices. And what's really wild is how your brain actually pulls it off. Even though you aren't speaking out loud, your brain is firing up the exact same language networks, like Broca's area for language production and the prefrontal cortex for planning, just to simulate a conversation internally. It's an incredibly powerful, built-in tool.
But as we all know, that built-in tool isn't always super helpful. We have the narrator, and this is your inner speech functioning perfectly, helping you plan and guiding your self-reflection. But then we have the broken record. This is rumination. It's when that internal voice gets stuck in these repetitive loops, just constantly focusing on past mistakes, regrets, or anxieties. Now, quick side note, this is completely different from the unwanted guest, which are those sudden, intrusive thoughts that just pop in totally uninvited. What we are really focusing on today is how that healthy narrator somehow becomes the broken record, and how we can stop it.
Section 2. Decoding your inner speech. If we want to fix the broken record, we have to understand where the recording actually came from. Your inner voice wasn't just created in a vacuum. It actually carries the pieces of your past. Your internal dialogue is so heavily influenced by the messages you received from parents, teachers, coaches, friends, and even critics. Your brain stores these patterns, the moments that built up your confidence and the moments that built your doubt. Years later, your brain just replays them on a loop. You are essentially listening to a learned script.
But here's the real game changer. Learned scripts can absolutely be unlearned. In this truly fascinating study involving 66 ninth grade students in Singapore, researchers wanted to see if a short, literally just 25-minute intervention could intercept and rewrite these students' internal scripts regarding math, intelligence, and failure. Instead of just lecturing the kids, they used a really clever cycle of making predictions followed by explanations to actually trap the myths these students held.
Which brings us right to Section 3, Myths about your brain. The researchers knew that a broken record internal voice is almost always fed by deep misunderstandings about how learning actually works. So I'm going to ask you the exact same question the researchers asked these students to trigger their metacognition, which, by the way, is just a fancy word for thinking about thinking. Do you think your brain grows bigger when you experience failure? Just take a second and answer that in your own inner voice.
Okay, if you said yes, hey, you are definitely not alone. Look at this incredible quote from one of the students in the study. They wrote, "In turn, the muscle cells grow in size and hence the brain will be bigger." They literally thought the brain was a physical muscle that pumps up and inflates when you fail. It sounds kind of funny, but it reveals a massive misconception. If your inner speech honestly believes that cognitive growth requires painful physical muscle building, or if it equates pure effort with guaranteed immediate success, it's just setting you up for total frustration.
Moving right along, Section 4, Rewiring through Neuroplasticity. To correct that script, we literally have to teach the inner voice the scientific truth. Here's the reality we need to feed our inner narrator. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change throughout life. But it's not about the brain physically growing bigger. Actually, scratch that. It's about strengthening neural pathways and synaptic connections. And how do we strengthen them? Through failure-driven practice. When you fail and you step back and try again using a new strategy, your brain builds stronger, way more efficient routes for next time. Your inner voice doesn't have to be a broken record of past failures. It can be the actual tool that builds new pathways. And the real-world impact of rewriting this script It's staggering. During the intervention, researchers showed the students data from the 2018 PISA assessment. It revealed that students with a growth mindset internal dialogue scored a massive 41 points higher in reading than their peers who thought their abilities were just fixed. I mean, that is the measurable, concrete power of the voice in your head.
To get there, though, the researchers had to correct some really persistent myths. A lot of students had this inner voice saying, well, if I just try hard enough, I'll improve. But the reality? True growth requires effort plus adjusting your strategies and actively seeking help when you're stuck. Another myth was that failing means you should lose motivation and just feel terrible. The reality that the intervention taught was that failure is incredibly valuable because it gives you negative knowledge, meaning you learn exactly what doesn't work, which is honestly just as important as knowing what does.
Section 5. Making failure desirable.
When you teach your inner voice these realities, something magical really does happen. The transformation in these students after just 25 minutes of rewiring their inner speech was absolutely incredible. Instead of giving up when frustrated, students actively reported stepping back and trying again. Instead of a broken record of disappointment, their inner voice told them to stay calm and strategically check their work. Instead of quitting on hard problems, they proactively decided to consult their friends or teachers for help. They literally changed how they spoke to themselves in moments of high stress. And it wasn't just talk, either. The behavioral outcomes were strictly measured. Following the intervention, these students were given a totally novel, highly challenging math task. The results? Extremely high persistence. Even though they didn't know the exact mathematical formula going in, they generated an average of 2.82 different ideas per student. They utilized super diverse, creative problem-solving methods. Their inner speech had shifted entirely, prioritizing the messy, iterative process of learning over the desperate need for immediate, flawless success.
So, what does this mean for us? How can we apply this to ourselves as focused learners? Well, it comes down to 3 really clear steps. Step 1, monitor your thoughts. Use that metacognition we talked about to catch the broken record in real time. Step 2, evaluate your decisions and strategies. Ask yourself if your current approach is actually working or if you need to pivot and go seek some of that negative knowledge. Step 3, rewire the script through practice. Every single time you intercept a negative thought and replace it with a strategic, growth-focused one, you are actively strengthening new synaptic connections.
The science is just wonderfully clear here. The brain possesses incredible neuroplasticity. Your habits absolutely can change. And the internal dialogue you've been listening to your whole entire life, it can absolutely be rewritten. So I want to leave you with this final, lingering thought to reflect on today. If the brain can change, what are you going to teach your inner voice next? Thanks so much for watching this explainer, and we will definitely see you next time.
We love you so much, mama. Traumatic brain.